Welcome back, and today we're going to do the Camino wrap-up, giving you an insight to what we did and what we could have done and what we didn't do, perhaps. So we're going to begin with the first question which people have been asking us is what actually worked well?
I got to judge. We actually got back. So obviously something worked well.
It did. So what other things worked well, Peter?
Well, Jojo, I think there was a level of certainty in relation to where we were going and when we were going to get there, because we were on an itinerary and we did have to get back. But we had 38 stops along the way, different places where we stayed at in the evening over a 42-day period. So we had fairly good clarity in terms of where we were going, when we needed to get there, and how our luggage was also being taken for us. And they were completely, raw travel, completely reliable. So I'll give them a tick.
The downside would have been to try and book our accommodation daily, and given that we didn't have to carry our packs was an advantage. The accommodations varied from rural stays to 5 hotel stays, so we had a nice mixture along the way.
There are some places where we may have stayed longer and we would have liked to have stayed longer, but you have to balance out what you're going to do over that period of time.
And when you're on a time frame, you have to definitely get to your accommodation. You can't sort of turn around and say, oh, I'll spend an extra day. So that was a disadvantage as well in not booking daily.
So when we do it again, next time we know where to linger longer.
The next question was food. Well, there's plenty of cafes along the way, and we would stop every couple of hours for morning tea and coffee, maybe some tortilla or a croissant. And lunchtime as well, there's plenty of places to stop along the way for lunch. And given that you're walking every day, you do build an appetite, and we lost weight.
Café con leche in the morning for breakfast, for morning tea. There would always be, the breakfasts were pretty sustaining. Then we'd have our morning teas, and there was always a little dolce on the side maybe, or tortilla. And there was also the cerveza with lunch.
Someone asked us about water, and there is plenty of water along the way, so you can refill your water bottles and look out for the signs that say acqua portabile.
So, eat as much as you want, because you will burn it off. And I didn't recognize how that may have taken place. I knew that we were walking a lot, but I didn't know that you would continue to burn so many calories.
Trail markers.
Easy.
Very easy.
unless you live at 7:30 in the morning and you walk past the turnoff.
In the dark, like we did one day. Otherwise, there's plenty of shell signs wherever you go. So, and we have a map on GPS, which is fairly easy to follow. So there's plenty of guidance for us. The other advantage for booking with the tour was the fact that we also had backup if necessary. So in case we got into any strife or trouble, or in a situation where we couldn't get out of, we just had to call back our support unit.
Thank you, Daniel.
What didn't work well?
After 500 kilometers, I got a Shin Splint. Now, why did I get that? That was a day when we were walking 32 kilometers, and it was a constant 10 kilometers on bitumen road, or the side of that bitumen road, and a fairly flat surface for a long period of time. So, I won't be doing that again, but I learned how to manage it along the way, and I recovered, and I can thank Marco, who actually gave me a leg massage and gave me lots of instructions on how to manage it.
And don't forget the ice packs.
The ice packs, the stretchers, the massage, the anti-inflammatories, the sports tape, the rock tape, all of that sort of stuff helped.
When in doubt, Google it. There's plenty of information on Google as well.
Correct.
Also, what to bring. If you can bring lanolin, wool, great prevent blisters around your feet. Wear woolen socks and tape up your hot spots. If you know your hot spots, tape them up before you start walking, or keep some with you in case you feel a blister coming on, tape it. We didn't get any blisters on our 38 days of walking.
So Joe and I also had worn in our shoes. We were both wearing Merrells, and I actually alternated mine occasionally because I'm a bit paranoid about my feet. But as Joe said, I had lamb's wool between my toes on my right feet, and I strapped up certain parts where I thought there could have been pressure points, but we were very fortunate, not one blister. So hey, we've learned something for the next walk.
What you know now that no one told you about walking the Camino? Well, you need your Bible, and we had that with us.
What, the Bible? No, not that Bible.
The Pilgrim book.
The other Bible.
The Pilgrim book that I call the Bible, which is something as a reference book that you can turn to if necessary along the way. But otherwise...
You will develop your own story along the way. As much as you may have an idea in mind, keep it in mind, but also be very open, because it is such a magnificent experience of physical, mental, and spiritual, if you let it in.
Was there a moment when you thought this was too hard? Yes, 30 Ks is far too much for any human being to be walking in a day. The maximum we would choose in the future is 25 Ks.
Look, 30K for some may be okay, but you know, Jojo and I, taking into account our older years, it's just, hey, we want to balance out the journey.
Your clothes, backpack, etc. Do you use or have all the right gear? Did you dump anything along the way? Light tops, light shirts, light easy shorts that are all hand washable. You don't need too many, just a couple that about 2 or 3 that you can hand wash. I chose woolen socks to draw the moisture away from my feet. I had merino underwear to draw any sweat away from the body, and you can also get t-shirts. I had shirts, but I would consider the merino wool shirts next time on our travels.
And some people did walk in activewear, but as long as it's something that you can wash out and dry fairly quickly, if you want to lighten your load in terms of how much luggage you wish to take.
Medical wrap-up, Peter, this is your job.
The medical wrap-up. Well, I took my little foot pack along with me, and it had all sorts of goodies in it. It had the wool, it had the masking tape. It actually had we had some Compeed, but luckily enough, we didn't use a lot of it, which is great, but that's what it's there for, just in case.
So another question would be, how early did we get up in the mornings, and how late would we go to bed at night?
Well, I think I would be up first, and I would be up in the shower at about 6:30, and that would just be to get ourselves ready for the day, pack our bags, get down to breakfast by 8 o'clock, ensure our bags were also down there at around that time.
And at night, depending on how much time I would work on the vlogs, would determine what time I went to bed. Sometimes I was in bed by 10, other times I was in bed by midnight.
But I'd also have my morning foot regime, and that would mean putting lamb's wool between my toes and actually just strapping and taping places where I felt there may have been some pressure spots. But as I said earlier, no blisters, so how good was that? So have your morning foot routine.
The other question is, did we have any scary moments? And apart from the early morning getting lost, there was one scary moment, and that was when my brother-in-law was was quietly coming behind us, and all of a sudden he just put on the
Don't
brakes
do that.
I got it on video.
You do
gave
that
us
next time, and you're going to go over
the
to me.
scariest moment.
In terms of really any scary moments, the Camino is completely safe, so nothing to be scared of whatsoever.
Next question would have to be, what were the highlights of your Camino?
Too many to count. But you have to say Santiago at the end, the throwing of the thurible was fantastic. We had all of those significant the cathedrals along the way. We had so many great encounters with people along the way.
Buen Camino! I was about to say that one, but you've taken that one off me.
Yeah, just too many.
Lots of wonderful churches and little chapels to see along the way, lots of farm animals. And loved greeting my cats and dogs along our journey as well.
Okay, here we go. And there is, there also, I don't drink an alcohol for it.
The Camino does provide.
And all the little nibbles of fruit that we picked along the way too. Who doesn't tell you that the Camino doesn't provide? And did we get lost? Good morning. Buenos dias. We're on our way to Athutha this morning, and we started off in pretty much pitch dark. So we sort of got lost too. And I said to Pete, well, let this be a lesson learned, because it's best to start walking in daylight. Well, we mentioned that we did earlier, so I said to Peter that morning, I said,
I was lost and then I was found.
let that be a lesson to us that we do not walk in the dark. But if you plan to walk in the dark, perhaps a headlight or head torch would be handy in the future. So we didn't get lost too many times, that's for sure. Okay, that's about it.
That's it.
That's
Ruby has been listening very quietly to all of this. And we missed Ruby an awful lot.
She didn't miss us.
And thank you to Jenny and Stuart, who looked after us during that period of time. They looked after us so well that her loyalties shifted a bit. So, we're going to have to think about that when we go on our next Camino.
Good. Well, that's all from us, and we'll probably see you on future adventures.
Bye from us and the Camino.
Bye. Buen Camino.
Buen Camino.